Welcome to the ISP show. I'm your host Sahil here with Rahi and Roy, and bienvenidos. And the reason I say that is today we are covering the South American region. It's been a while since we've talked about that. It's about time for all our viewers out there who are interested in this region. And look, guys, we're talking about World Cup qualifying, right? There is a team right now that sits at the bottom of World Cup qualifying. And I'm looking through, and Roy, can you help me out? Which team is this that I'm talking about? Can you
Not
help me out?
Bolivia? Not Bolivia?
Not Bolivia. Oh, there we go. It is. It
Who could it
is.
be?
It is
Who
Peru.
could it be? My
It is
goodness.
Peru. So we thought we'd take the opportunity and let our boy Rosito discuss, kind of a therapy session and tell everyone out there what has happened, Roy, to the team that we loved in 2018 during the World Cup that gave France so much trouble in that match.
God.
What has happened since then? Rahi, let's start with you. Let's start with you because Roy will give the floor over. Rahi, give your 2 cents real quick.
Yeah, man. I think if they split qualifying up, if there was an over 30s league in CONMEBOL qualifying, Peru would be the top of that league, Roy.
Yeah, 100%.
They would be winning that league. The
100%.
problem is there is no age limit, man, and everybody on this team is old. Look, Roy, just to check, I Googled the Peruvian national team just to double check to see who's still on the team. It's everybody that was there in 2018. La Padula's picture is in black and white, Roy. That's how old this team is. It's in black and white on Google, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got La Padula. I mean, it doesn't end with La Padula, man. It's Pedro Galese. There's Advíncula, Cuevas, Zambrano. Guerrero is like 54. How old is freaking Guerrero at this point?
Thank goodness he retired finally in November. But that
was the last game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back.
Yeah.
But
all right. Yeah.
What a disaster.
So Roy, break it down for us. Give us like the top 3 overarching themes of what happened to this team and what's going on with Peru and what's going on. Of course, Roy, you are a proud Peruvian, so it's only appropriate that you figure out what's going on with your country of origin.
Yeah, I'm getting a little suspicious, guys, because Peru is historically following a 40-year resurgence cycle. They were phenomenal in the 1930s. They were incredible in the 1970s with Teofilo Cubillas, Hugo Sotil, Hector Chumpitas. They had such a beautiful team, such a fun team to watch. So they would do well in Copa America and World Cups. And then they were good again in the 2010s. The brilliant performance, even though they didn't make it far in the 2018 World Cup. It was such
fun.
Oh my God, they were a blast to watch. And I was at that World Cup in Russia, and I would go to the Peruvian games and the Peruvian viewing parties. It was the most energy and most national pride you would feel compared to any other team in that World Cup, even against Argentina. Argentina would compare. But any other team, the Peruvians came out, they would cry. It was beautiful to watch these games. Even the games we lost, there was so much pride. And now we're back to being terrible. This might be the worst moment over the past 50 years for the Peruvian national team. It is a disaster, my friends.
Yes. Okay, so reason number 1. What's reason number 1?
Rocky nailed it. It's the age. I mean, you got an average age of 32, 33 on this team. You got your starting striker, who I know just retired, but was starting games. And he's like 59 years old. You have players who shouldn't be on really any national team in this region, in the CONMEBOL region. Players like Andy Polo, who was kicked out of the Portland Timbers for legal reasons. You got players, just guys that shouldn't be playing on their national team. It's ridiculous that they're on their national team. So the quality of the player and the age of the player has tanked. Well, age has gone up, quality has gone down, and they're not producing talent. The Peruvian league is not producing talent. They're struggling to develop great forwards, great attacking midfielders, great defenders. They're doing well in the Peruvian league, but it hasn't translated to the main national team. So I would say that's reason 1, the age of the players and the development. The development isn't happening in national team or in the Peruvian league.
couldn't they give young players a chance? That's my biggest issue. I understand that these are players with the big names. Guerrero is the guy. Christian Cueva, I mean, I loved him when he first came along, right? But he looks like he's a relic of the past. He still has the mohawk. The mohawks are not in anymore. I don't know why he still has a mohawk. But my point is, couldn't they
speaking of legal issues, he had some legal issues. So he's off the team now. But yes, but I get your point. Like
no,
Andy
I mean,
Polo
why
and
don't
all
they
these
just
guys,
bring some young players along? I understand they're developing talent is an issue, but you could just give some players a chance. Isn't that part of the problem?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the problem. I think more of a problem is that there aren't many young players worth giving a chance to. There's a couple coming up. There's been a couple over the past few years. Aaron Sanchez, Lora, Lisa. I mean, there are guys that are doing well in Peru, but it's a situation where you could just scrap this current generation and say, you know what? We're going to suffer. We understand we're probably not going to make the World Cup yet. They're not at that stage yet to throw in the towel and just push hard for this younger generation. It's hard, man. It's kind of like saying, what if, the U.S. was in a bad moment and they decided to push up all the C team and D team? Will any of them make it? Will any of them actually replace Guerrero and Cueva and La Pindula and Advíncula, everyone? No, I don't know. La Padula.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so there was talk of Jose Pekerman taking over the job, right? But now he decided he's not going to.
Yeah.
So do you see, I don't know, is the coaching an issue as well with regard to the team? Because they, they've in the past they've had some excellent coaches, right? Peru.
Listen, 2018 was primarily a Gareca World Cup. He was
amazing,
phenomenal coach for this national team, tactician, motivator. He was the face of soccer in Peru, one of the faces of soccer in Latin America. And he did wonders with this national team for as long as he had him. He, from what I'm hearing, wanted to stay with Peru, but there were some issues. He was even willing to negotiate a lower salary, but there were issues with the new president. They want a new direction. Didn't want to spend as much money, all these different things. So he wasn't renewed, whatever the reason. And since then, it's been a carousel of coaches. Since then, there hasn't been that match. I think they're looking at, I know they were looking at Pekerman, but they're looking at 3 domestic coaches. I think Comiso is one of them, Solano, Mosquera. They're trying to play that Morocco model of finding a great domestic coach and having him grow with the national team. But it's a dark time, man. I think this 40-year cycle is going to continue because I don't see this team getting out of this rut anytime soon. Not in the next 5 years.
I was going to try to end this on a happy note and ask you, what do you think the team needs to do? I don't know, Rahi, you have any solutions? Or Roy, whoever. Let's end on a happy note.
Well, there is one thing they're doing now, which is going for the globalization, right? Bringing in the naturalized players. Yeah. They brought in a Danish player, right? Or he's Peruvian. Sorry, he's Peruvian, but looks very Danish. But that might be the route, Roy. Look for the diaspora.
It could be, yeah, because the main problem is quality of player. It just doesn't match up with the rest of South America. So if they could do what Morocco is doing and what Turkey is doing and what all these national teams are doing, Indonesia, they're looking throughout the world. They're looking outside of their country's borders for players that maybe weren't born there or who had grandparents who were Peruvian. They need to start looking at these players because they exist. It's not going to be as widespread as other countries, but they exist. They're out there, and this team desperately needs the help, man.
Yeah.
Oh, more than most teams.
You're in a very, very tough region too, So
it's a very tough region. What about those Peruvian Argentinians like you, Roy? Maybe you can't play for Argentina, but you can play for Peru.
You got one right here, my friend. I am still at a playing age. I would not contribute to lowering the average age of the national team because I would be one of the older guys there, but I still have legs, guys. I still have legs that work.
Yes. Good. Call up Roy. Call up Roy. So for all you Peruvian fans out there, let us know your thoughts on what's going on with the state of the national team. And if you want Roy Cito on your national team, for those enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel and we will see you all next time. Please keep watching the beautiful game. Hasta luego.